Hi, I'm Shawn Rogers, Vice President of Research for Enterprise Management Associates, and I'm here at the 12th Annual Pacific Northwest BI Summit. It's a great venue, an event run by Scott Humphrey, and I'm here with my friend Yves.
Hi Shawn, my name is Yves de Montcheuil. I'm the Vice President of Marketing for Talent and also extremely glad to be here in sunny Southern Oregon.
Nice and warm today for sure.
Indeed, indeed.
So you and I had an opportunity this morning to present together, which was kind of fun in front of this group of experts, and we talked about big data and data as an asset, and at the core of it, we discussed some of the technologies that are driving change, especially around data and data integration, and I thought that'd be a good place for us to start. What do you see as the most active or disruptive technologies that are out there right now?
Well, the one thing about big data is that it's really nothing new.
Yep.
Organizations have had massive amounts of data for a long time. What's new is the ability that they now get to actually make sense of this data, to leverage it, to turn it into actionable information, and essentially to turn it into a valuable asset.
Yeah.
They have their traditional data sources, I would say operational databases, running their CRM, running their ERP, running their customer applications and whatnot. And they have all those other systems that are generating lots of data that was not really used. You know, we like to refer to that as dark data.
Dark data,
The data that's out there, that's sitting out there, but companies either didn't have the technology ability to make sense out of it, or it was just too costly. The cost of opportunity was not great enough for them to be able to use it. So the new platform that we're seeing out there around the collection, around the transformation, the cleansing, and finally the processing of data is changing dramatically the way companies are actually leveraging their information assets.
These new technologies are certainly making the landscape more complex, and you just talked about a couple of things that are sort of disruptive. And in a sense, we've been doing this style of work before, but once again, managing strategies around this is more difficult. So what are you telling your customers, or how are you helping them with their strategy around this new idea?
So what we're telling them is to try to identify some quick wins. Don't start by trying to boil the ocean,
right,
to go after every single existing information asset in the organization. It just doesn't make sense. Otherwise, you can embark on a 5-year plan where you're not going to get value in the short term. And at the end of the day, patience will wear out. Executive sponsorship is going to fade. Mm-hmm. So you want to identify some quick wins. Get sets of data into the system, start to making sense out of them, and get some results, essentially. Prove the value of the big data project to the organization, get a clear return on investment, and then build from there. And I think the build from there is critical. You don't want to do a disposable integration project. What you are going to do needs to be reusable, to be augmented with additional information assets, to get into a broader project that's going to continue to drive more value.
So important to learn from those quick projects and those quick wins, or even quick failures. Quick failures is not always the worst thing in the world to have happen.
Of course, failure is a great thing. You learn as long as you learn from it.
Right, exactly. And then reusability kind of speaks to this sort of world that we're hearing a lot about agility, speed to success, speed to failure, reuse of work. And so that's important for you and your customers at this point?
It's very important, and the changes in the platforms are actually driving this kind of opportunities. You know, in the past, people had to write their own MapReduce code, for example,
sure,
for Hadoop. Hadoop is getting more mature. New technologies are being deployed on top of Hadoop. I mean, Talent is a very good example of how users can actually build MapReduce without having to write code, to use the Hadoop as the data integration engine itself. So Hadoop is not just a big data dump. You just don't stuff data into Hadoop. Of course, it's a great storage platform, but that's not all of it. It's also an even greater processing platform. So use the power of Hadoop to actually perform your data transformations where you can actually perform your data transformation at the minimum cost. Don't get data out of Hadoop to cleanse it, to process it, and then back into Hadoop, but actually process it in place.
So with all this innovation that we're seeing and that we've been talking about, you must come across some fairly interesting use case stories. I'm sure some of your customers are doing some interesting things. What comes to mind?
Well, actually, a very interesting use case was presented by a customer of ours at Talent Connect in Boston last year. They are a digital advertising agency based in New York. And one of their clients is a very well-known hotel in Las Vegas, the Paris Hotel that I'm sure you've been to, Shawn.
I have.
And they found out that the major attraction that is dragging people to Paris is not the fake Eiffel Tower, which is only half size of the real one.
I've seen both.
You've seen both, indeed. But actually, the fountains across the street.
Oh, okay.
Most of the rooms from Paris has a fantastic view of the fountains from the Bellagio.
Bellagio, yeah.
So they have now started to advertise the fact that the Paris Hotel has a view on the fountains of the Bellagio, and they have dramatically increased their response rates to their mobile ads promoting the Paris Hotel in Las Vegas. I mean, I think that's the kind of stuff you can only get from analyzing big data.
That is the type of thing that kind of opens the door for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now, but let's be clear also. A lot of big data applications are not that fun or sexy to describe. The primary use cases of Hadoop are ETL offload, where essentially you're doing ETL a lot faster, a lot cheaper. We had customers who had processes were running into hours, and running it on Hadoop allows them to run it in minutes, literally. So they are dividing by 100 the time it takes to run their ETL processes, and that's extremely valuable stuff because they can run more ETL jobs and they can have faster access to the resulting information. And another use case is the online archival of data.
Yep.
You don't want to keep everything in your Teradata data warehouse. That's way too expensive. Get the stuff to a Hadoop cluster, and you still can retrieve it whenever you need it, assuming that you put the correct reporting and query interface on top of it. I would say the advanced analytics, like the use case I was just describing, only comes third. I mean, there are some very interesting use cases, obviously, but it comes third after ETL offload and online archiving.
I completely agree. I think you're spot on. Hey, thanks a lot for being here today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Shawn.
This is Shawn Rogers signing off from the Pacific Northwest BI Summit in Grants Pass, Oregon.